Has this ever happened to you? You disputed something on your credit report, and the credit bureau replied back stating that the item you disputed was verified as accurate. Most people think that the important question to ask is, did the credit bureau actually investigate their dispute? That's actually the wrong question to ask. The important question to ask isn't, did they do the investigation? The important question to ask is, how did they do their investigation? That one question can completely change the way that you look at the items on your credit report. Hi, I'm Pierre Phillips with the Feel Good Credit Company, and I help consumers understand what's really going on at the credit bureaus so that they can get their credit reports to tell the truth about them. Today I want to explain one of the biggest misconceptions that I see when consumers dispute information on their credit reports. Many people receive dispute results from the credit bureaus that say something like this: we investigated your dispute and verified that the account is accurate. Most people read that and assume that the matter is over. But under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the important question isn't, did they do the investigation? The important question is, how did they do the investigation, and was it done right? That's an important distinction because the Fair Credit Reporting Act requires that the credit bureaus follow reasonable procedures to ensure that there is maximum possible accuracy, and for them to conduct a reasonable reinvestigation when a consumer disputes information on their credit reports. Here's the interesting thing about all this. Congress didn't say that the credit bureaus had to do a perfect investigation. The law says that they have to do a reasonable one. That's why the quality of the investigation matters. Let me use me as an example. Imagine I was disputing something on my credit report, and I sent in my bank statements, my canceled checks, and a letter from the original creditor stating that they made an error on my credit report. If the credit bureau's investigation came back and it just said verified as accurate, a reasonable next question that I would ask would be, how was my documents considered during the investigation? Or, what procedures did they use to determine the outcome of their investigation? Keep this in mind. That doesn't automatically mean that they violated the law. But what this does show is that why asking better questions is so important. Here's the big lesson that I want you to take away from this video. Don't confuse the credit bureau's investigation as being a reasonable investigation. The question isn't, did they look at your dispute? The question is, how did they look at your dispute? Once you start knowing the right questions to ask, you can start holding the credit bureaus accountable for every time one of these dispute results show up in your mailbox. This is the kind of information that keeps people's credit scores stuck at 580 when they should be getting qualified to buy a home. Not because the account that they are disputing is real, but because the dispute investigation was never done right. Now, knowing the right questions to ask is a good start, but building a real consumer law case, that's what I do for my clients who want to get their credit reports to tell the truth about them. If you want to learn how to read your credit reports the right way, the link to my credit report truth check guide is in the comments. Also, click the subscribe button because every week I'll be explaining consumer law concepts just like this one in plain English so that you can better understand your credit reports. Because good credit feels good.